Peace, everyone. How y'all doing this morning, June the 22nd, January 22nd? Forgive me for that. We have a show today talking about Donald Trump declassifying information, which is exposing the shocking truth about Martin Luther King and JFK and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a Malcolm X man. I don't hate Martin Luther King, but his humbleness is something I never related to until these days where I didn't have to be humble and get humbled and stuff. So we got a news respondent here today, Dollar Skills, that's going to be speaking more on the subject because I am not the news respondent to speak on this. But yes, Donald Trump is in office now. The politics have changed, so other conversations can come out. I'm liking the fact that I can change my topic. I can speak more freely and things on these subject matters. So that's what we're going to do today. So now let me start this off by saying that I am a baby of the 70s. I was born in 77. So during that time, you still had a little of black power in the Israelite community, better known as the black community to the ignorant folks. But they was informing us about COINTELPRO and all these things. I was into all of it. I was black power before I was anything. I can't read, but the book that I played with the most was the autobiography of Malcolm X. I called myself reading that when I was young, and my reading ability wasn't what it is now, which is probably a fifth or sixth grade level reading. But hey, it's reading, long as you can get the information. So, like I said, I'm not the one to really speak on this today. So, with Trump being in office, I have people that I can reach out and speak to that I haven't been able to reach out and speak to. Don't mean I ain't spoke to them. It just mean you don't know about it. But I'm gonna call one up right quick. Y'all already heard the name, and we're gonna have a little conversation.
Peace.
Peace. What's up, bro? Donald Trump declassifying information about JFK, Martin Luther King, and Robert Kennedy, all the people that used to be on the walls in the 70s. Let's talk about it.
Big things happening, man. I think it's a beautiful thing. You know, trying to get the platform back in a new positioning where we deal with real topics and we not caught up in the hoopla that's been going on in the YouTube streets. We gonna set the trends. I ain't gonna give up all our sources and what we setting up because we don't want people to get it too far ahead of us. But I wanted to touch on some things that we kind of spoke about in our show a few weeks ago as it relates to declassifying stuff.
Well, all the stuff they're doing in the YouTube streets, I started it. My bad, y'all. Like I said, when I heard Hit 'Em Up, I knew Pac had effed up hip hop. It would never be the same again. And when I did what I did to these hateful people that's still following up behind me, I messed up YouTube. My bad. Sorry, y'all. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's all good, bro. Well, basically, when we spoke on Trump and what was going on with the whole presidency as it relates to his coming in office back in 2016 and what transpired when he was able to claim that office. He was able to see all the classified documents. You know, the president receives the highest level of security clearance as the commander-in-chief and the president. And Trump was able to see all of these things. And also at the close of his first term, based on what many believe to be was anomalies and fraud in the 2020 election, he was able to declassify a lot of documents. Now, a lot of people are not aware and understand that when he declassified those documents, it would take 5 years for it to be available to the public through the Freedom of Information Act. So if you count the years, 2020, we're now in 2025, that information is about to be released to the public. He spoke about it during his inauguration, and I just want to kind of break down some of the things that relates to also as it relates to the 2020 election. Now, I want to just make a statement, and you know, everybody that listens to this later, they could go Google search and look these things up. But this statement is what's going to set the trend for what we're about to see. And the statement is, fraud vitiates all. Fraud vitiates all. Now, what does that mean? Well, what that means is that when fraud is brought to the American public and it's proven that fraud may have took place in the 2020 election, everything we just witnessed in the last 4 years is a crime. That includes all of the pardons that Joe Biden gave to people on the way out. Like, everybody should be aware they've been keeping up with politics. Joe pardoned his son. He pardoned his family. He pardoned Dr. Fauci. He pardoned everybody that was involved with the January 6th committee that was put together against him to try to claim that he set up an insurrection at the Capitol back in 2021, January 6th. So fraud vitiates all. You could look up a Supreme Court case, United States versus Stockmorton. That is a pivotal case that set up this precedent where if Trump is able to prove that there was fraud in the 2020 election, the last 4 years is vitiated, meaning all the pardons, everything that Biden did in the law is all fraud.
Spell that vitiation for him, please.
Vitiates is spelled Vitiates, and it's pronounced vitiates. So when you understand fraud and you understand that when you enter into a contract, if you can prove that the contract was set up fraudulently, it's null and void. That's the layman's on that. Meaning if there's fraud in the contract and you can prove it in a court of law, then the contract is null and void. You're not obligated to the contract.
So another word for that would be fraud, would be propaganda, right?
Exactly. Any kind of propaganda, any kind of just falsehoods. If there's anything false in the statements and you can prove it relates to fraud, it collapses the trust in a way, or collapses the obligations in the contract. So what Trump did, that a lot of people may have heard about but didn't understand, was on his way out of his first term, knowing that from his standpoint, the election was stolen. He never changed his political stance on that. He even spoke about that in his inauguration, that he still believes the 2020 election was stolen. And people don't realize that what he did was intelligence was gathered all throughout 2020 into the November election. And I had spoke about this before on the other show, but now I got the information of what I was speaking about a little clearer. If anybody listening to this show later wants to find out where all the fraud was laid down 2 years ago, there is an individual by the name of Maria Zach who spoke at the Kansas Senate hearing. So all of the information that her network put together to present to the president as it relates to the 2020 election being stolen was all presented to the American people on the Kansas Senate floor. So if you guys want to go on the Rumble platform, I think that's where you can definitely find the video of her breaking down everything that they caught them doing in the 2020 election as it related to foreign interference with the country Italy. The other thing I was explaining is that Trump extended the military to include a new arm of the United States Air Force called Space Force. This is something that I think he did that was pivotal because former presidents hadn't really expanded the military for like 30, 40 years. Like there hasn't really been a new arm of the military until Trump came in, and that was Space Force. Space Force, as we joked when we spoke before, is based off of an extension of Ronald Reagan's Star Wars missile defense systems, where Trump created an agency to clock the satellites and track what's going on as it relates to the internet and data. And they were able to catch them hacking certain election machines from the country Italy, and all of the information was presented to the American public at the Kansas Senate hearing 2 years ago by an individual by the name of Maria Zapp. Now, how that ties into MLK and JFK is on the way out in 2021, Trump declassified a bunch of documents. And this is why they were chasing him to Mar-a-Lago to raid Mar-a-Lago, claiming that he stole classified data, and they charged him with espionage. Now, all of that got dropped. Now we can talk about it. The federal courts found that that case that was put together by a special counsel wasn't properly vetted and approved by Congress. And the Supreme Court, when they made their ruling on Trump's immunity, Clarence Thomas stated that he believes that the special counsel that was chasing behind Trump to prosecute him may have been set up illegally because it was approved by the Department of Justice, but not vetted through the House and the Senate as it relates to confirming his payments and everything the way that it's supposed to be. So long story short, Trump declassified documents, and currently he has a confirmation hearing coming up for who he selected as the new director of the FBI. His name is Kash Patel. Now, there's a lot of fighting, and people don't want him to be approved, but the reason they don't want Kash to be approved, because Kash, at the time when Trump was in his first term, was running the Department of Defense. And he was in the room when Trump declassified the documents. So the American news media, which was definitely weaponized against Trump, was lying for the last 4 years, claiming that he stole classified documents. He didn't declassify. He had the right as the president to declassify whatever he wanted. And when I say declassified, he declassified a lot of things. He declassified who officially murdered JFK. He also declassified who was involved with MLK's murder. He declassified
RFK too now. RFK.
Yep. And then that's that's why, see, a lot of people are caught up because Trump is not a typical president that just goes to his political party and appoints people. He went to the other side, people who were either Democrats or independents, and he's trying to bring the country together. So that's why he went and got RFK. RFK used to be a Democrat. He ran as an independent, but he wasn't a Republican. And Trump is currently trying to have him affirmed or confirmed by the Senate and the House to be the head of the health organization. So the previous administration, this is pivotal. The previous administration put a transgender on the top of the health department at the federal level. So the guy that was currently, or the person that was currently the head of the Department of Health or the National Department of Health was a transgender. He's trying to replace that individual who's now out with RFK. But this is a bigger picture because he's also bringing retribution to the Kennedy family for all of the many years that they kept classifying what really happened to JFK, as well as MLK, which is interesting because when they do release this, we may find out what individuals, what informants were around King at that time and who played a role in that. Now, a lot of people know, I think Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, these are individuals that were around King, and, you know, King was assassinated. We all know that. But getting down to the bottom of what role certain intelligence agencies played with their informants and how they set that up, that's all getting ready to come out. But the main thing with all of that that's coming out too is that the fraud that took place in the 2020 election. Because if they're able to prove that the 2020 election was stolen, then fraud vitiates all. Meaning that the last 4 years we witnessed, all the bills, all of the pardons, that stuff is going to collapse. And everybody's going to be back on the chopping block. That includes with the COVID. Because a lot of people now are saying, why did Biden pardon Anthony Fauci? But the key to the pardon is he pardoned him for any acts that he committed as far back as 2014. Trump wasn't even in office in 2014. So why would Fauci, as it relates to his National Institute of Health and the whole study of the gain-of-function research that was going on in the labs, need a pardon at least 2 years before Trump ever ran for the presidency by Joe Biden? But I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is because that's when they received the funding to go into those labs in China and the Ukraine and all of that to work on the bat virus known as coronavirus. And then what it also exposes is they haven't been officially charged with any crimes, so why would they need a pardon? Pardons are generally given to people who have already been prosecuted, found guilty, and then the president gives them a pardon post-sentencing. This is something that is unprecedented that Joe Biden did, which is he gave these people preemptive pardons. So he preemptively pardoned Dr. Fauci, his family, Hunter Biden for acts that they wasn't even charged criminally with, and also for years prior that kind of admits a certain level of guilt that something's up here, something's awry. So the declassification is going to bring everything to perspective to the American public, and it's going to align Trump to charge these people, and if not Trump, certain state attorney generals, because what people have to understand about pardons is pardons generally block you from federal prosecution, but not from state or international. So even if Trump is not able to prove the fraud, he could still have certain state attorney generals charge these people, as well as them be brought up in front of international tribunals. And that is going to happen. And while I'm going to say that's going to happen, is one thing Trump did during his first presidency is he approved refunding of Guantanamo Bay. So this is going to tie into their whole him claiming a national emergency at the southern border. They're going to round up all of these people that were here legally, bring some of them that are terrorists and things like that to Guantanamo Bay, but they're also going to be charging top public officials, Hollywood people. All of these people are in a lot of trouble because what they did to the American people as it relates to stealing elections, the pandemic, and all of this criminality that's been going on in this country really for a long, long time. As far back as JFK, which everybody knows JFK is like the foremost Democrat that the Democratic Party, they all praise JFK, but they blew that man's brains out and been covering up who was involved with that for the last 50, 60 years, as well as MLK. So if you guys want to know about the fraud, as it relates to the 2020 election, I'm going to say it again. Maria Zack, Kansas Senate hearing, go to Rumble, type that in your search engine, and watch what she lays down on the American public in the Kansas Senate that was going on in 2020 and how they were able to intercept certain things with the satellites back to Space Force. So everything I'm saying is relative to declassification because Trump declassified all of those documents in 2020. That's why they was chasing after him to try to flip it on him and say he stole classified documents. Obviously, that didn't work. The American people see the truth, at least to a level enough to have voted him into office. Now he's back in position, and he's going to keep his word. And that declassification is going to be available to all real soon. We're in the 5th year, so you will be able to do a Freedom of Information Act request and see. And when I say it's gonna bring the house down, it's gonna bring the house down. It's gonna show what Hillary Clinton, what Barack Obama, previous administrations was doing, even 9/11. All of this stuff is about to be released to the public. This is unprecedented times. We ain't never seen nothing like this. Because they've been able to control the flow of information for the last 50, 60 years.
Quick question though, Malcolm X.
That's a question. I don't know. They haven't said nothing about X, but I would assume that some of those things are gonna tie back into that too.
Probably
they
so.
Didn't say his name officially, but I would imagine that once you start unraveling King and JFK, then you 2 steps away from Malcolm X as well.
Well, see, the reason I asked the question is because the Nation of Islam involvement in Malcolm's death, which goes back into Elisha sleeping with them secretaries and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, that very well may be in some of this D-class, because the D-class is supposed to involve a lot of things. Like I said, it's going to show 2020, it's going to show the COVID, it's going to show JFK, RFK, it's going to show what I've been alerted to, an operation called Crossfire Hurricane that involved what I was telling you before, that the previous administration, Barack Obama, they went through the Five Eyes law enforcement group in order to bug the White House and the Trump Towers as it relates to Trump and Russia, which was all proven to be false. They tried to impeach Trump the first time. All of that information came out to be false. And even Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Convention, they had to pay fines because they lied to the American people that they were hacked by Russians. And they tried to tie that to Donald Trump. When that fraud vitiated him from those charges, they ultimately had to pay a fine. So the guilt aspect of what the DNC was doing to interfere with Trump's presidency and all of that is pretty much already been laid out on the table based on the fact that they had to pay a fine for campaign interference and things of that nature. But this is going to crack the earth. It ties to Jeffrey Epstein. That's another thing that is about to be declassed. Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of people going on that island, and they kept the list of the clients blacked out for the last 4 years. People haven't been able to see who's involved, but you do see the case against Puffy, and then they trying to pull Jay in. These people are all tied to these wild sexual acts and the sexual deviancy that has been put in play by the powers that be for these people to advance to what they call black excellency. We can see it plainly. People are not being picked and selected because of their talents. They're having to do all kind of satanic and or sexual rituals in order to advance in our society. And this has been going on for a long time. And this involves the nation of Israel. Because a lot of people say Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence operative for the nation of Israel. So as it relates to the so-called Jews, as we'll say, there's a lot of things that's getting ready to drop, man. That's going to tear the fabric of what we know as media and mainstream into a new one.
Well,
it's going down.
The terminology you just used, I'm going to do my way of fixing it. The Jewish people, they are the Jewish people. They're not the Jew people, but they are the Jewish people. So therefore, we'll give them their respect in that sense. They are the Jewish people.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear too, all Jewish people are not involved with this, but there is an inner circle, just like every society. You got your good apples and your bad apples.
Satan operates everywhere.
Yeah, the bad apples, that were in power were enforcing these practices in order to blackmail and extort people and keep everybody in line. So that's why you see the Diddy thing, because they know that the declassification of the Epstein stuff is going to pretty much link a lot of these people together, and they're trying to get ahead of the story, in my opinion. This is opinionated on that, to kind of soften the blow, to control the narrative on this. But they're not going to be able to control that narrative ultimately, in my opinion, because when the D-class comes out, it's going to expose everybody that was involved, the criminality, the crimes against humanity, and they're going to be brought up on, if not international tribunals, statewide prosecutions, because the states can still prosecute people who were pardoned by Joe. And like I said, if Trump proves the fraud, it's going to vitiate all. It's going to act as a double-edged sword. The last 4 years, every bill, every law, every pardon is all null and void, and it becomes criminal. So we in some uncharted and trying times. So pray for our president, for all the people that listen to Israel doctrine. The Bible says pray for the leaders, man. Pray for Donald Trump, because they already tried to kill that man once, and people are already trying to throw the innuendo they're going to try it again. So right now, that man needs the prayers of the people, especially his voters, and even those people that just don't want to see nothing happen to our president. Pray for him, because he's definitely getting ready to do some things that's going to shake the world. It's going to shake the whole globe, for sure. And I'm going to stay on topic as it relates to declassification. The declassification of top secret documents took place in 2020 on his way out. This is why they chased him and claimed he stole the documents. That didn't work. The case was dropped. Now he's back in the White House. He has the power to finish up what he started.
So quick question. Is that why he did his inauguration on Martin Luther King's birthday?
Very well could be. I also think that he brought the inauguration inside because they were going to try to do something outside. There were people marching against him and stuff like that, certain of the other political party. So they said because of the weather, they brought it into the Capitol Rotunda, is what it's called. And he was inaugurated inside, like the last person I think that did that was Ronald Reagan. But he came inside, and word is he was trying to protect the people that wanted to come to the inauguration by not having them outside the Capitol like that. And they went inside, and then everybody else went to one of the arenas to watch it on the screens.
Yes, because like I said, I'm not in the political world like that, but people was like, why he go inside? He just knew it wasn't gonna be enough people, and he just wanted it to look good. I was
that was BS. Trump amasses crowds that's in the tens of thousands when he truly sets up shop. And he's been doing it in front of everybody for at least 5 or 6 years. He was running campaigns for the 2020 election with tens of thousands of people all through. After Joe got in, he was rallying and campaigning for the whole 4 years with tens of thousands of people.
I understand. I'm just saying these are things that I heard, because though I'm not into politics, when I'm around people, they like, you be in the know. I'm gonna talk to you, and I hear these type of things,
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is still speculative. Well, nobody really knows, because Trump didn't say that, but the word was he brought it inside to protect the people, because they were going to try to kick something up. And he didn't want nobody to get hurt. He wanted to just get through the inauguration, get to his pen, and start signing them executive orders. And a lot of them executive orders is crazy, too, as it relates, not crazy in the bad way, but crazy as it relates to a lot of what the Democrats have been doing for the last 4 years. The Democratic Party, in my opinion, not its voters, because at the base, there's nothing wrong with being a Democrat. I'm talking more about the upper echelon of the Democrat Party. And I'm going to just make it clear that they stole the votes of their own people when they put Kamala in. I said this before. 14 million Democratic voters voted for Joe Biden in the primary to go up against Donald Trump. The Democratic Party at the higher levels usurped 14 million of their voters and gave us Kamala. And that's why they lost. That's one of the reasons they lost, because Kamala wasn't able to get enough headway to go against Trump. When she ran against Biden back in 2020, because she was Biden's going against Biden, she couldn't even get 1%. She had to drop out of the primaries. Like, people got to remember history. When Kamala went up against Joe back in 2020, she couldn't get enough votes, and they dropped her out of the primary. So even though they were able to have Joe select her as his vice president, and she'd had 4 years for the people to get to know her and everything, when they swapped her out for Joe, she was a worse candidate than Joe. Joe would have had a better chance against Trump, obviously, from the people that will claim that Joe was the only one that beat Trump when they claim he won the 2020 election. So why'd y'all go and swap Kamala out? Because Joe was in decline, as they say, cognitive dissonance. He's old, and once he did that debate, that was it. They was like, he's not going to be able to make it for 4 years, so they basically swapped Kamala. But it just goes to show that that party, what it did to its own voters. So you got people out here voting for Joe, and then you force Kamala down their throat, and then you lost. So that's why everybody in the Democratic Party is kind of in disarray. But I'm saying all that to say, in my opinion, when all of this is said and done, the Democratic Party as we know it may cease to exist. They may have to form a new party, because the level of criminality that went on with the election interference and all of the stuff with Russia and everything that they did, that party is going to be up on some high charges. Treason, sedition, working with foreign governments to overthrow the United States government, the COVID and how much pain and suffering that caused, the vaccine, like just everything that they did is on the chopping block. So that's why if you watch it, mainstream media, you're going to see a lot of people panicking right now, because Trump, once that declassification of all of this documentation that he declassified already is available to us all, it's going to ricochet and tear stuff up, because these people have been running this stuff for a long time. So, I wanted to come to the platform and really, we're going to do some shows. We're going to do some spot shows. We got to get this platform back and standing with the people, to where they know that when they come here, they're going to get real information. We ain't playing around for 2025. Not at all. Got to get you with the Israel doctrine. I see you doing the Israelite, or the foundational Israelite American with the B and the brackets and everything. It's time. Because they're even dealing with that too. They're talking about the birthright citizenship. Trump signed an executive order, like I was saying the other day, that says that if you're born in this country but your parents are not from this country, then you don't really have birthright citizen rights. Now that's going to be vetted out in the courts right now, because the minute he signed that, they launched lawsuits about that as it relates to the 14th Amendment. Is going to go probably all the way up to the Supreme Court. And then we're going to find out. But that topic of FBA and everything has been hot on social media, with the Fat Joes and all of these people that come from the islands adjacent to the United States of America, and how they're being put ahead.
It's a Hear Israel People Have Open Prophecy situation, which, if you know, that's my acronym. That's what I do for hip hop. Hear Israel People Have Open Prophecies.
Definitely. That's eschatology. We always speak in the private about how your platform, in my opinion, has to really lock in on that eschatology. I see you've been doing videos with the full preterists and stuff. But yeah, that's like that's another thing, the Elon Musk thing. Because Elon Musk, they claiming, gave the Hail Hitler salute at the Trump rally. Now, Elon Musk is another individual that people need to understand. He was a Democrat. See how when a person changes their political view, they start being attacked by the people that they once stood with. So what happened with Elon is he was a Democrat. He was against Trump. And I'm not saying I trust Elon 100%. But one thing I know is that when he decided to support Donald Trump, now all of the Democrats is attacking him. They're calling him a Nazi because and I'm going to drop a jewel because somebody put this up. If you go back in history, that same salute that Elon Musk did, they got photos of Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, they all did that salute where they extend their arm out. So Elon Musk is not the first person to throw up what they call the Hail Hitler salute. All of them did that. There's photos of Barack doing that, extending his arm. So I guess Barack is a Nazi. I guess Kamala Harris is a Nazi. And I guess anybody that extends their arm out like that, like Elon did, is a Nazi. We got to stop this, y'all. At the end of the day, Elon Musk supported Donald Trump. I don't say that I trust him 100%, but while he's playing the good cop role, I'm gonna hold his feet to the fire. And that's just that. He brought Twitter. He helped Trump expose what the government was doing with that platform. He supported his campaign. Trump gave him a position. I don't think Trump is that stupid. I think that he's got his eyes on everybody that he had support from, because the last time when he came in, a lot of people turned on Trump, just like I see them turned on you. A lot of people turned on you. It ain't gonna be the first time somebody turned on somebody, but until then, right now, I'ma say I'm not buying the hype with the Elon Nazi thing. That's just a talking point that people are running with.
Propaganda that just need to be declassified.
Yeah, because they don't want the truth to come out about all the roles these agencies and their informants have been playing throughout the last 50 years and 60 years as it relates to our social influences before social media. Martin Luther King is a big social influence on the so-called black, or as we would call it, the Israelite community. And it would be great to know who was truly involved with that man's assassination, as well as Malcolm X. Like, I'd like to see Malcolm X too, because I believe that truth would shatter the foundation of what has been established in the YouTube streets and all that stuff.
That's the thing. The Islamic people are playing for power too, and they're not being attacked or dealt with for the crimes they done committed against Israelite Americans. Malcolm X comes
let me say this to you, because it's important that you made that separation from the Hebrew Israelites and claiming just Israel only, like Israel, you're Israel. The Hebrew Israelite thing is a misnomer, because you got a lot of Hebrew Israelites historically that did things too. There are claims that the person that killed Martin Luther King's mother was a Hebrew Israelite. So you see how they try to use that to make all Hebrew Israelites terrorists, like we've been telling y'all from this platform, and Carl been telling y'all for years and years and years, and why he doesn't technically claim that, because it's not biblical.
The Nation of Islam and Yahweh being Yahweh and that whole thing, Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah, they fed everybody right into the alligator mouth with that terminology. And then they don't know how to deal with somebody that's wise enough to say, wait a minute, that's not even biblically sound doctrine. It's just Israel. And Israel is a nation of mixed people. So the whole other nations can't get salvation. That's BS. Because when you go back to the ecclesia, which is what I know this platform deals with, when Moses entered into the Red Sea and they were all baptized, we know that the mixed multitude left out of Israel with the so-called Hebrews back then, and they all became one nation, which is basically nothing different than what we see in modern America, because modern America ain't nothing but a nation of mixed people. People have migrated here from all over the world and then made babies and etc. and sojourned together. That's what happened in the ancient days with the Israelites. So yeah, you might have had some full melanated dark Israelites, but you also had some light-skinned Israelites, and you even had some what we would call Caucasian Israelites that all became one nation if they did the Lord's will and they followed the Lord's commands. So that's just, that's just on that topic. But yeah, At the end of the day, everybody, the next thing to watch for with Trump's administration is the declassification of documentation, which imbues a whole lot of stuff. And it's going to shake the foundations of the globe. I'm telling y'all. Because just over what I'm telling y'all, I'm telling you what he's going to declassify, or what has been declassified and is going to be made available to the public shortly ahead. I think how he's going to actually make it available is through his whoever becomes the new FBI director. So right now he selected Kash Patel. That is his name. He was formerly under Trump's previous administration in the Department of Defense. He's been selected by Trump. The confirmation hearings in the House and the Senate for him are going to be very interesting, or they're going to try to block him. But I don't think they're going to block him. And if they are able to block him, Trump is going to definitely, substitute someone that is going to be able to take the classified documents that were declassified and make it open to the public so that everybody can know what really went on in the 2020 election, what really went on with the COVID, what really went on with JFK, MLK, and a plethora of other information as it relates to the real espionage that was going on with certain previous administrations and how they were selling trade secrets. Yep, RFK.
But this is the significance of God hate Africans debate that I had earlier last year. And I beat the MVP who was trying to steal my black intelligentsia terminology and quotes and stuff, because I was the first with that. But see how the foundational Israelite black American trumps my black intelligentsia?
Oh yeah, man. I see the method to what people consider madness. I think you're one of the most intelligent brothers in the YouTube streets, if not the foremost, because you've been here longer than most of these, if not all of these dudes. I think this platform has a 2009, if I'm not mistaken. So you're like your platforms are grandfathered into YouTube. All of these new social influencers, they late to the party, even if they got more subs and get more views than you. Just based off of when you was established in social media on this platform, you trump all of them. You the grandfather. So I don't know what they about to do, but like I said, bro, I want to see your platform flourish. I want to see you get back into the old groove you was in, where you wasn't so bogged down with people that, in my opinion, are not even relative to what needs to be done here. You got way too much information, way too much talent, way too much, bro. Let's lock in. Like I said, we got to do a show maybe twice a week or whatever, because I got a bunch of stuff that I've been holding that I had to wait to see the politics, because you got to watch, what you say still to a degree. You got to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. So at the end of the day, man. But yeah, man, D-Class brings the house down. I gave you guys some information. Go type Maria Zach, and probably on Rumble is where you'll see that. I don't know if that's on YouTube. And you could just type Senate here in Kansas and just watch that video, and you'll see all the intelligence that was gathered, at least as it relates to the 2020 election, and presented to the American public. And one would ask, well, if they presented it, why didn't anything happen? Obviously, because Joe was in, and a lot of things had to be vetted out as it relates to politics for them to be able to get Trump back in the office so he could finish up.
And I am
back in office.
I am a grandfather on Rumble also. I see all y'all rushed over there. Y'all was watching.
Yeah, that too. They had to follow you to Rumble. They gonna be following you for a lot coming up, because a lot of what you said was prophetic as it relates to the eschatology and Israel doctrine. All this stuff is going to come to pass. We're going to build on some eschatology too, because I got some angles on them with that Bible that people who believe everything was fulfilled in AD 70 is not going to get out of. Everything
we somewhat disagree on a couple things in eschatology, but we could talk about it.
Yeah, I got a few things that I'll bring in the near future. But that's it, bro. I don't want to be long-winded with our shows. I think I covered enough. Check out Maria Zack. Wait for the new FBI director to come in. Look for him to most likely, or her, depending on who makes it in, to make available to the public what Trump declassified in 2020 and in 2019 and what they were chasing him for, because they don't want this information to get out to the public, because that spells endgame for a lot of organizations, the political party, the Democrats. They're in trouble. So, and again, I'm not anti-Democrat. I'm just I'm pro righteousness. So this is not an attack on people who vote Democrat. If you vote Democrat, that's fine in your state and local, elections or whatever. This is not about the base, is what I'm saying. The base of people who vote Democrat is not really to blame. This is about the upper echelon of the party and how it's been hijacked by people who are treasonous to the so-called black community, the Israelite community, to the Islamic community, and to all melanated people. They have been lying and lying and lying and lying, and them lies have got to come out. They got to come out so we can get our people in the right position and get ready for what's to come. And that's it, bro.
That's it, y'all. Special report brought to you by Dollar Skills. Israel Doctrine wasn't capable today, but life is good. With that said, we finna exit the building.
Peace.
Please hit the notification button so you can be updated on the latest and greatest from Israel Doctrine. And we're out.
Throughout history, several historical groups and civilizations have been documented as having connections to ancient Israelite heritage while being of African descent. Here are some notable examples. The Beta Israel, Ethiopian Jews, a Jewish community that lived in Ethiopia for centuries. The Lemba people of southern Africa, who maintain traditions and practices similar to Jewish customs. Various communities in West Africa that have maintained traditions and practices that scholars have linked to ancient Israelite customs. It's important to note that this topic involves complex historical, genetic, and cultural evidence that continues to be studied by scholars and researchers.